in the rearview mirror, they appear closer than they are.
Hi. This is the, all right. I'm going to read it from left to right on the front of the unit. Audiophile Pro-iCan signature. I've also read it, Audiophile iCan Pro signature, but, you know, fucking Audiophile with their names. Anyway, 2 gemstones, $2,200. New signature edition of the iCan. Was it the Pro previous? I think it might have been the Pro previous, because this is their Pro line. I have the IESL. I own this. They charged me $900 for it, which is actually a bargain. But this unit I keep around, and what it does is it specifically takes things into it to turn them into this, which lets me play with my stacks. So that's one thing that ISL's Pro line has done. But I never got the amp. The original amp was very powerful and did lots of things, and many, many things. We're going to talk about this one. And I never also got the DAC, which has the screen on it, because that's another like really expensive thing, and expensive DACs don't do it for me, even though I'm going to continue to use. If you look down, there's lots of shit on this desk, and I want to remove one piece of it right now at the start. These, and I'm not kidding, are called the Iraq. Iraq, like the country, but no, spelled IRACK. These are the Iraq stands for the iPhone Pro line, and what they do is you put them together, and I'm not shitting you, I unboxed these, and the unboxing channel is linked in the description, and it's probably not out yet because that's always on a delay. In fact, if you want to see Chewbacca again, live and well and running around, you've got about month and a half more unboxings at least, where she is just herself. So if you really miss my cat and I miss my cat, I will, there's a little thing, I will go watch an unboxing and she will just show up and I'll pretend like nothing's wrong, because literally nothing was wrong. I built these. I'm pretty sure the owner, because this unit was sent to me by a person who bought it, and these were sent to me by that same person who bought this, because he's going to get the other thing and he wants to stack it. So these are individualized. Let me show you, this comes off. So here's one. I'm linking this on Amazon because it's sort of my job. How much do you think this rack costs? Because it's just some rubber feet, top and bottom, some rubber balls that slide on this, a clear thing, and you have to see all those screws in there, those like 8 little tiny fucking fidgety screws, and also the screws in here that you have to screw in to tighten this onto this and put this on. How much do you think this thing costs? And it's a DIY IKEA build. On Amazon, it's $269 for one. The owner got them on a discount, but it couldn't have been enough of a discount. By the way, these are marble. And look, I like IFI. Fucking Go Blue, fucking the iCan, little baby iCan, or the goddamn DAC. Yes, I love IFI stuff, but this is where I draw the line where it's like, why the fuck? The fuck? So I'm just getting this out of the way because it took me a solid 30 minutes to assemble both of these, to then decide I'm not going to use them in the review. Because what it does is, I'll show you the bottom of the iCan. See that giant silicone fucking pad with the cutout? That's to stack it. You see these 4 black dots? I put those 4 black legs there because, frankly, the silicone pad is designed so it doesn't damage things, but it sticks out too far. So you put it on a flat surface and it just spins like this. So what you do is you put it on top of this, you slide these balls and it touches outside the pad and it sits right there and it looks fancy. But then you can't add another unit underneath it unless you remove this one, because it physically can't fit. And so, no, this is no. You sit on my floor. Instead, I'm using this GroveMade. It's supposed to be a monitor riser. They contacted me. There was like one of those companies that randomly emails me like, hey, do you want us to sponsor things in the video? And I'm like, they're just going to send me shit. So I got this, and it's fucking gorgeous. And it's just a made in America, USA bent oak, I think. whatever it is. This is not cheap either, but it's, you know what? It's fucking half the price of one of those, and it looks more spectacular. And underneath it is the Matrix Saber 3 DAC feeding this, which then this is feeding this, which I already owned with the HDMI cable. So like, because it's such a rare occasion, I get to pull out stacks, and I'll look for any fucking excuse. So the excuse today was I have the ICANN signature, I have the ISL, I have the wire still, because it's literally a jumper that goes from here to here, and you set this specifically to ICANN, and you set it to Pro plus normal, and you set your voltage, and then you set your ohms, and then you can turn this up and it'll play stacks. Before we get to that, because we're going to be all over the place, because I'm filming this late at night after a nap, and I just ate food, and I'm not in the right headspace to make a video, but that's when I make the best videos. Sometimes, maybe. So I'm using the pre-outs on this, and it's also outputting to the stacks, but very quietly, because the pre-outs on the back of this are being fed XLR, and it's controlled by all the gain settings that it has. This amp will get to the part where it has solid state, then tube, then like extra tube. We'll get to that. We'll get to all of that, except what I need to do first is I want to listen to the stacks and not the speakers. So this $2,200 amp that has all these everything here, and so many knobs and switches and dials, and it's got an infrared remote control. I want to make it not output to the I don't want to make it not pre-out. I want to make those speakers not play sound. I want to hit the button that makes the speakers
attack ships on fire
off the shores of Orion. That's that lagging because I don't. I want to make those speakers not play. So this is a very quick review of the preamp of this unit, because that's a lot of people are saying, Zeos, you got to focus on the preamp more of amps. You got to focus on how the quality of the preamp sounds. It sounds fucking buttery and amazing. Because what the preamp's job is, in every unit that has a preamp, down to the shit fucking Magni, is you take your DAC, which is usually a fixed voltage, you put it into this, and then the amplifier itself re-amplifies that at a controllable voltage, and therefore you have a better volume control for those, and it takes the flavor and this experience of the amplifier itself, which is on tube mode, so it's feeding a little baby bit of tube into those fluid FX80s. But I want to not listen to those FX80s right now, and the only way to make those FX80s stop playing sound is to fucking unplug them, because you can't switch off the outputs. That's just one. It's like, of all the negatives that I'm going to be talking about, that's probably the most annoying one, because it could just, there's got to be a space for another button or a switch that's just like, don't output. But I'm like staring at this unit going, I want to demo it with speakers, and I wanted to, but how I had to fucking unplug the power to the speakers and drop it on the floor. So now speakers will not be played for the rest of this review, because I'm not picking that up. Let's talk about the unit, which is this one on top, which looks almost fucking identical to the one below it. I know that might get confusing. You can tell the signature because of this gold plate, which when it arrived was slightly skewed, and it was like double stick tape, like 3M Pro double stick, so I just like pushed it till it was perfect, and I got that lined up. There's gold rings around these knobs as opposed to silver rings on the old non-signature IFI stuff. They still sell the original non-signature one. It's about $500 less, maybe more at this point. Also, my battery in the GoPro is probably going to die, because I started it with 50%, and 50% is not enough to cover this unit. So when it goes beep, 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 I'll get a drink of water, take a breath, and continue. Starting from the left and moving to the right, I'll cover every fucking thing on the front of this unit. Here, let me angle the camera better, which I'll forget to fix, and I'll be pointing at the sky the rest of the way. Your input selector. Oh, I'm sorry. More left. More left. Your power indicator is a micro perforation on the fascia. So that, like, IFI logo, you can't feel it. They drilled through this, 1/4-inch piece of nice, I don't know if it's aluminum. It's got to be aluminum. They micro perforated it so light could pass through. That's cool. Same on here, only the green LED is terrible. That is much more visible. You then have a power button, which is a flush, nearly flush power button, with that being the indicator. You now have 4 inputs. Inputs 1, 2, 3, and balanced. It's RCA, 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 and balanced. Double checking. Yeah, it's just RCA, 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 balanced. So you got 1 balanced input, 3 RCA inputs. We'll literally get up and fucking walk around the back to look. We now have down here your selector switch between solid state, tube, and tube plus. And this unit has a tube built into it, a General Electric tube. In fact, I don't know which model it is, but it's a pain in the ass. If you wanted to get in there and change it, you don't. It's there, leave it alone. And I think it's new old stock, which is kind of worrying because it's built into the unit. But I think IFI guarantees these things, and if you have to change it out, you can. It's just not. It's not like, ooh, dark voice. Whoop, whoop, whoop. This is a knob for X-Bass. Anyone who knows anything about IFI stuff when I review it, the Zendak. The Zendak is $150, and you plug a headphone into it, and it's completely solid state, and you have to use USB, and you hit X-Bass, and you go, oh, I didn't know I needed this in my life. Turns out you did. X-Bass, and here's the thing, this is a completely analog unit. There's no digital. It's all analog inputs, and it's analog outputs, and it's analog amplifier. So how are they adding bass? Fucking magic. And they're proud of this because they have not just a bass boost, but they get their 3D shit going on all in the analog realm. I don't understand electrical engineering in the slightest, but I want to hear a 1-hour presentation on how they do that. Because it can't be easy. It's got to be all sorts of weird twistings and turnings, and I don't know. I have no idea. You tell me in the comments if you could describe how they do that. Tell me. So that's our other thing. You have off, 10 hertz, 20 hertz, 40 hertz. And that's where the X-Bass is active. Do you want it to X-Bass 10 hertz, which is the wub-wubs, 20 or all the way up to 40, which would just amplify like anything that's even close to bass gets the treatment. Down here in this little tiny black circle is the single-ended 3.5mm output. That is also the IEM match compatible outlet. So if I plug IEMs in, which I did, these are the Dunuzens. These are the stethoscope of the audio world, where they're so sensitive that they make the GSX Mini. I remember the name of it this time, the purple amp. If I plug these into the GSX Mini, which is a $2,000 amplifier, which is roughly the same as this, which is a Class A, if I just plug it in, pause the music and turn up the volume knob, it's like I'm turning up the sound of rain. It's like shh. Because these are super sensitive and any little bit of noise they can amplify. On this unit, which, let me get to the power ratings right now. I don't want to read them because I want to make sure I'm right. The power ratings on this unit will go single-ended first. So there's that single-ended, and then these 2 balanced outputs for full wires, but they have 1/4-inch plugs, and I think you're supposed to use the right one constantly, or the left one, I don't know. But they have single-ended 1/4-inch output, which is not IEM match, and then balanced, and then 4.4 Pentacon. And I tested on these. On single-ended, at 16 ohms, this unit is 4.8 watts per channel. That's a pretty hefty number, 4.8 watts a channel. Single-ended. Balanced, 14 watts per channel. That's... Can I make that sound again? 14 watts per channel. And I plugged the most sensitive IEMs I had into it. On the balanced, not through just the IEM match, on the balanced output, which should be full fuck tilt. And then I proceeded to pause the music, make the sign of the cross, even though I'm not religious, switch it to the highest gain, which we're getting over to, and then turn that knob up to the maximum and try to listen for noise. And I did this on the solid state, the tube, and the 2 plus. And this is the darkest, emptiest, most silent amp I've ever listened to. Specifically with those. Like it was like, usually on an amplifier, when I do that test, when I do the Dunu Zen test and I turn it up, it's like, there's always a point where somewhere in the range, I will get like a little, it's a buzz, like a feeling that it's making sound. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like even the Singzer, which I said was very, very like almost perfect, had at like 1 o'clock, you could just hear that there was something there, and then it got silent again. I thought it was, the only way to test to see if it was not broken was to start playing music at the lowest possible volume here, like there, on 14 watts per channel into the easiest thing, and sure as shit is playing music. And I turned it up and I went, okay, that's definitely loud. Pause again. Silence. So IFI has somehow created a black hole, which does not create noise. So if you're ever interested in a noise floor, it's $2,000. Moving on, left to right, we're still doing the tour of the unit. I sort of explained what these are. You know what that is. It's a 4-pin XLR. These are full-size XLR plugs. If you're one of those crazy assholes, just like this, like the reference, the QAS reference has just full-size XLR plugs, so you could individually plug wires to each side of your headphone because you're fucking crazy. I kind of like that system actually, but it's way over the top for most people. And inside are 1/4 inch, which you can use both. They recommend you use one of these. I think it was left. I read it in the manual once, and I was just like, all right, whatever. I'm just probably going to use the balance output or the single-ended output. It's just fine. Moving over, 4.4 Pentacon, which this is the new additions from the previous amp. Didn't have Pentacon. I don't think it had the IM match on the original either, but it does now. So I've been using that a lot, like a lot. I could plug it in, but I'm going to still move over to stacks before I unplug the stacks, so we move on from that. Then you have this knob, which is the 3D sound effect knob. And the way they describe it, and there's numbers about it, it's off, 30 plus, 60 30 plus, 90 60 plus, which sounds like a German traction control system in a Jeep, but it's not. What that stands for is the degrees of separation it's trying to emulate of the sound you are listening to. It's basically crossfeed. Really, really weird, fancy crossfeed. Whereas you listen to headphones, what you need to do with this is on a very, very narrow set of headphones like HC600s, which just sound very close and closed, but very clear. You turn that, and it's supposed to make it so that it sounds like you're listening to speakers 30 degrees apart, which roughly those are, which is not great, not a great distance. But then you go to 60, and it's supposed to be speakers that are 60 degrees apart. Then you go to 90, and it's supposed to be speakers that are like literally there. And I haven't used it as much as I thought I would. Most of the headphones I like are extremely wide, minus these Tim socks. And I'll go over the headphones I have on the desk, which we'll be plugging in during this 2.5 hour long review, because there's a lot to just lean my head and yell about. In good ways, though. This is a good review. I got over with the fucking plug thing. That was the worst. That's the most oversighty oversight. They could just put a fucking big toggle switch on the side. It would maybe fine. Anyway, that makes a difference, but it also kills the volume, and you definitely step back from the sound. So a lot of people who love the sound, if you love the way your headphones sound, you'll probably play with X-Bass just to give you a little bit more oof. But the 3D, and by the way, the 3D also works on speakers. So those I could turn and try to make those sound wider than they are physically. And I don't know, I've tried it and it's like, I think there's probably a very specific speaker that works on, but it was not these in this position. So yeah, that 3D headphone speaker thing is fucking weird, and I appreciate it being there. That's the best thing I could say about it. Here is your gain switch, which for a 0, +9, +18 gain switch, which is not, it's a pretty big swing, but it's a very small switch. And it kind of irks me a little bit, because it's like, let me put up sound, hold on. I'm gonna go to low gain. Click, nothing, sound. So you get, I don't like small switches for gain, because you might accidentally, I want to go up 1 notch, and then you go, oh shit, I went up 2, but there's enough of a delay. There's enough of a delay between the you shut it off to you turn it back on that if you fuck up, you can repair that by going, okay, no, I didn't mean to go to full stupid tits gain and knock it back down. You have your volume knob. Oh, fuck. I have your I forgot to get something I wanted to get for this review. In fact, I may pause the review to go get the thing to show off this thing that I have to show off, but we're soon. We'll do the back first. Get your volume knob, which is very nice. It's very nice. It's got little notches all around it, but none of those are labels, so it doesn't really matter. And then you have your infrared hole for your remote control set and perfectly mirrors that. Because as an OCD person, the fact that everything's mirrored, very happy. Then you see the top and it's like, why'd you fuck me like this, Audiophile? By the way, let's walk around since we're going to do the back anyway. I'm still pointing slightly up, so I got to remember that. If we look, if I put my GoPro into the hole, in there is where the tube lives. And they are using LEDs also to light the box, so you know the tube is active. So it's not just orange tube glow, amazing. It's orange tube glow and LED tubes, which I appreciate, because if you wouldn't be able to tell from the switch, there's no indicator. Let's crouch. Again, behind this lovely GroveMade thing. It's fucking astonishingly smooth, the wood, and it's perfect for audio equipment, which is why I said yes to it. Here's the back of the unit. This is the most boring shit ever. Our DC 15 volt 4 amp in. Here's the IESL link, the HDMI that connects it to the IESL. Here's your unbalanced output for speakers. Here's your balanced output for speakers. Here are your 3 RCA ins. Here's your balanced XLR inputs coming from the X Saber. What's not boring, and I'll take a second to admire it, you don't get this wire, but this is the power brick for this amp. I looked it up. The iPower Elite, it comes in multiple voltages if you buy this separately. This alone is $300 fucking. So I think that's one of the big jumps in why this unit costs so much. It's got aluminum heat sinks on top, and there's just an orange LED there that indicates it's on. It's got it looks like they poured an Audiophile logo in there. It's wild. And it takes a full-size power plug. I put the stupid $50 power plug on there because it looks stupid, and this looks stupid, so here we go. Interestingly, gold. I don't know if it's true gold or tan wire, a little bit stiff, as you can see. But yeah, no, that's your power brick, which usually a power brick just drops behind the desk when I'm doing a review. How do I can't. It would be against the rules of bird law. Bird law would come and get me. So now let's talk about the remote. Back, good. Let's talk about the remote, which is the iPro idea. Well, the iPro iCan is labeled next to these 2 buttons, and there's a separate section for the Pro IDSD. So you don't get to use any of these for this amp. They give you the remote, but this is for the amp, and this is for the DAC that they sell. I've, of course, used my Flirc, which is this little unit here, which is just an infrared receiver, to program in so that I could change tracks and navigate up and down. In fact, I could even page up and down to the things and then navigate, and then I think that's enter. No, that's pause, and that's next track. Yeah, so I've assigned all of these buttons. I could skip forward in a track to do something because I have a Flirc, and fuck wasting buttons on a remote. If I'm just sitting here jamming to music, I want to jam. I want to be like, next. I love this part, or I hate this part. Skip. So I can do that with a Flirc. So really, I'm sneaking in a review of a $20 item again into a review of a $2,200 item. Let's talk about the volume controls here, because that's all you get to play with normally. I have never, on a unit, had so fine a control of volume, and that includes a digital volume. Here, let me go volume up. I've added a chopstick so that we can do this visually. So I'm gonna go to noon. By the way, I was perfect. Let me show you what an increment of touching it does. Holy fuck, it's like a clock. In fact, that's better than a clock. I'm pretty sure if you just tap tap, 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 because it's physically turning that knob. When you have higher end audio equipment, what they do is they use a good pot, an analog pot, and then when you take your remote, it spins, it physically is a motor in there spinning the pot, which I can't hear, by the way. The same thing applies to this $5,000 German tube amp, only with that, the remote control makes it go click, and it like twists up so fast, and you have no finite control, because sometimes it doesn't let go right away, so it's like, oh fuck, we're all gonna die. Where this is just like left, right, left, right, left. That is hilarious, and you hold it down and it goes wee, and then everything explodes. I am smitten by the smoothness, linearity, and just utter stop. Fucking con. Little more. I'll go bigger ones. See, like obviously I didn't do this before this review, and that's the first time I'm seeing it do it, and it is as accurate and delicate as I can imagine, and I think I am in love. So if you're using it for speakers, because really you're not using remote control if you're sitting at the desk right in front of it, how fucking lazy are you that you're like... Okay, so the remote's done. That's it. We you can use a Flirc to take over the remote. That's why I have this, my big Emotiva DAC remote, because it also changes tracks. You can just have multiple things feeding the same thing. Whole keyboard shortcuts. I'm gonna remove my wonderful visual aid, which is a chopstick with blue tack. I'm gonna put that right here, or gray tack. That's where that goes. Beautiful. And now I guess we can get on to how it sounds. What are we? Timestamp, Zeos. 22 minutes into the video, probably. Where do I start? I guess I'll go back to stacks so I don't really get to play around. Why is it upside down, IFI? IFI's stacks plugs are the only ones in existence that go in 4 on top, 1 on the bottom. Everybody else is 4 on the bottom, 1 on top, so... L700s. I'm on medium gain in this. I'm on the first tube. There's tube and tube plus. The sound difference I should probably get you also while I'm talking about this. That sounds like ass. That was a shitty music. That wasn't the thing's fault. Yeah, no, yeah. The tube switch. Solid state is absolutely perfectly clean. I wouldn't call it like dead, sterile neutral, but you can tell it's just, here is a high-end solid state amplifier. The end. What you're going to do, though, is you're going to switch it to tube, because you want to know what the little tube does. And the tube adds just enough softness to the sound, the first tube, where I am now, that you're like, oh... okay, because this is about IFI, and IFI, I actually begged them to make just a box with a million buttons that did random things to sound via analog. I don't know how they would do it, but this is as close as we can get. Because you can not only add X-Bass and 3D effects, you can then add tube warmth to the sound internally. Like this is, I think this amp might be for someone who hates their headphones. Because you could do so many things to change it, but only in good ways. So now I've got, and I can hear. Switching to solid state, it mutes it. The tube lights go out. It'll click back on. Oh yeah, that's way more direct. Like if I'm analyzing a headphone for Z reviews, which I've used this amp previously on my desk, it was always in solid state mode. Because I know I'm getting the absolute best performance out of the signal. This is it. Off, off, off tubes, go, clean, now. But, click that on, give it, when you initially turn it on, if the tube isn't warm, the tube is obviously warm. It's like, ooh, and then you click it on again. Wait. I think that's too much. The third tube setting, like, I don't want to say it muddles it, but you go so far from like clean and direct to then warm tube to then holy fuck, vintage old warm tube. And the specific thing that it does, knows no fear. I love how that's a thing on this. This is, by the way, Audio 46. I'll be linking to them. They didn't send this, but they're going to start sending me stuff, so I'm going to link to Audio 46, which is an actual brick and mortar store in New York City. Fucking wild. I know those exist somewhere. It takes like a whole city of New York, and there's like literally one of them. I guess B&H sort of counts, but for like dedicated audio, I don't think anybody else really is. Do you have a dedicated audio store in your town, in your hometown? List it in the comments. This will be a very interesting comment section if you made it this far into the video. What do you have? Like, I have Worldwide Stereo. I had Worldwide Stereo when I lived in Philly. That was the place to go to listen to things. But that was it. So what do you have? Audio 46 in New York. What else? I want to see, what does it say about the tubes? Yeah, Tube Plus position reduces overall loop gain and thus negative feedback to the minimum. This gives a different trade-off between the tube's natural harmonics and the transient performance. Oh, that's the third one. That's the 2 Plus. So there's Tube and 2 Plus. 2 Plus is that weird negative feedback minimum harmonics fucking, it sounds weird. I actually feel like I have to raise the volume when I put it on. And that's the, like, one of the, that, and then if I really want to go nuts, Kizumonogatari is playing, hold on, which I skip forward, which makes that freak out. Let's make it wide, and we'll give it some X bass. Yeah, no, I don't, that's almost too much stuff happening right now. There's a line where I'm like, okay, this is doing something interesting, to you're doing too much, back it off. Which luckily with this, you can. But if you have headphones that you're like, I wonder what this would do. Like the Tim sucks here. Like I'm listening to Stax L700s, and they're quite neutral. And by the way, Fostex, I think this came on my TH909s. Someone's eating in the Handmaiden Tale OST and laughing. I hate when people are laughing in my OST. Let's put these down. Let's completely disable, ignore this bottom unit now. It was just here because I was able to play Stax, and I happy now. But let's back this back down to natural, complete fuck you, nothing on mode. We'll plug in the Tim Socks. We'll get to the Meze Empyrean Elites, which is another headphone. See, these are probably the most opposite headphones that have ever existed, because this is a planar that is neutral as fuck and needs an amp to sort of, I respect it for its neutrality, and then when you color it or give it Class A, it's like, ooh, now I feel like they're $2,000. Oof, God, that's such a different experience than the L700s. And not worse. It's definitely not as airy. I'm not comparing this. This is not a headphone review. But I'm doing things. Oh, I could be skipping forward with the remote that I've... This is a string quartet version of Pink Floyd's A Floydian Slip. That's fucking wild. Because these are a very narrow headphone. They don't have a great soundstage. And I just went through 3D modes, 30, 60, 90. And it sounds like someone's got the microphones up to Pink Floyd, and he's like, okay, Mr. Floyd. And then you hit the switch, and it's like, all right, hold on. One more time. Okay, one more time. Like, it's just literally something is backing up in the music. That's fucking crazy. Assume the bass line of this amp, by the way, because people complain, Zeos, you just ramble on and talk shit, and it's anime girls, blah, blah. Assume the bass line of this amp is the cleanest and most natural sound you've ever heard. And all these things do is fuck with it, but in good ways. So like these headphones, specifically these headphones, could absolutely use like the warmth of a tube. Or a 30 degree down bubble, which is I think that's from Huff. Oh my God. Do they need a bass boost? Yeah, let's give them a little bit more. Ooh, I brought it all the way up to 40. So just crank the X bass. One notch of 3D. These. Now these. This is like some voodoo magic, man. Because it's doing some shit. Let's kick that down one and put this one up one more. All right, now I'm going to inflict tube onto these. Hold, please. I need a little bit more volume now. These are a completely different set of headphones. These are not the headphones I plugged into it a minute and a half ago. I know these headphones. I live with these headphones. These headphones live on my desk. Ooh, so here's what happened. Well, the reason I did the Tim socks first and not the Meze Imperial Elites is because the Meze Imperial Elites are probably like an idealized sound for me. They're not everyone's headphone. They're not. They're kind of like Sony in that regard, where they're like, we're going to show you how much detail we can cram into it, but also be fun. Fuck you, audiophiles who are boring. The Tim socks, on the other hand, are a headphone that, if you're a boring audiophile, you'd probably absolutely fucking love these. I personally like a little bit more of an exciting sound, but I cannot deny how clean and straight edge these are. Fucking amazing. And if I plug them into a Class A, like the VMVA1, the 10 watt speaker amp, they got a little bit wonky power going into them. They just get exciting and fun. With the knobs and switches on this box, I turned Tim socks into Empyreans. That's it. Bass boost, more soundstage, tube warmth. You're Empyreans now. Congratulations. You've been birthed. Granted, let me explain that this cannot happen if you put KPH30Is on there. This is a $2,000 set of planars that is tuned a certain way, that is very receptive to fuckery. And if you fuckery it enough, you can get into these are $4,000 planars that are designed for, most of what this has, but more fun. And it can inject the fun right into these to make them these. This is the most fucking first world goddamn review I've ever done. Because it's a $2,000 thing, talking about $2,000 things, talking about $4,000 things. Hey, if you really want your $2,000 headphones, sound like your $4,000 headphones, you just get this $2,000 box. It's like, fuck Zeos, unsubscribe. But the bass, the fucking methodology is sound. If you add an analog bass boost, which is it's very hard to do that. I don't think it's like, I know there's analog like EQs, but it's something different about when it's X bass. And whatever the fuck this 3D switch is, you don't find that shit on anything. And then the fact that you could literally just say, oh, by the way, there's a tube in here, click. That's why I picked that wallpaper, because she's fucking prepared. Handle anything. Ruby can handle anything, because she's ready to handle anything. That's this. I literally converted a headphone to another headphone that are completely opposite sound signatures. So, and this was like the moment, this was the realization when I could do that to these. It's like, well, Jesus, if you only have like one or two headphones, you can now have, if you have two headphones, just two headphones. And they don't have to be fucking expensive. They could be Sindaras. And what's another headphone? Philips Fidelio X3s, right? Two $300 headphones. You now would have 9 headphones. At least 9. At least 9. Because those two headphones, when you turn on the tube, become different headphones. And when you turn on the X bass and maybe the 3D, can become also different headphones. It's a multiplication of what the fuck you're listening to. You could have one headphone, and buying this amp means you have 4. I don't know how that math works out, but because you've got 1 switch, 2 switch, 3 switch, and if you turn any of them off and just go like this and this, or just this and this, or just this and this, or nothing, that's like 5 different headphones, I think. I took statistics once. It was actually a fun class. But no. This is a perfect headphone to pair with this. Because it's like a Tesla like Model D P model, no, Tesla Model S P100D. It's an ultimate car. The P100D is faster than every car on earth. All-wheel drive, blah, 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 blah. That's like this. It's like perfect in every way. But it's not as fun as a Shelby Cobra, which is only rear-wheel drive, but has, as much power. But so the fact that you can take the Tesla P100D, turn off all-wheel drive to make it a little bit more unpredictable in the ass, and then flip the switch to like put the top down, because there's no convertible Model Ds, Model S's. So this is just a conversion unit that takes something that's very, very straightforward and perfect and can fuck with it in a quality way. So I think that's all of this, by the way, was the review of sound. For you people who are like, you didn't even describe how it sounds. I don't watch other people's reviews. I don't read audiophile articles of people describing sound. I just know how I feel and how I want to describe it to you. And there are people who can hear what I'm saying and understand exactly what it sounds like. And there are people who can't. And if you can't, I'm sorry. But if you are hearing the words coming out of my mouth and you can visualize like you've taken magic mushrooms and you could see the sound, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm going to plug another headphone in just because I have to. Here's the thing, though. If I plug in the Empyreans, which lower that, what happens when all this shit is on? Because this is the settings I just had for that. If I do this, which that's correct, and then I unpause that same track and I turn it up, no. Absolutely not. No. Okay. No. No that. Okay. Wow, that's way too much low end. Take that off. And let's kill the tube. This is... This is a perfect example of what's the most important thing in your setup. It ain't the DAC. It ain't the amp. It's that, the source, and the headphone. You get good music and a good headphone, whatever the fuck's in the middle matters less and less. But when you want to fix your headphone, or it has special needs, are you a special needs baby? You're definitely a special needs baby. Then you got to start concerning yourself with amp. Certainly amp over DAC. DAC just happens to be here. Just ignore that. But then this comes in and it bridges the gap between what you're listening to and what you're listening to. If that makes perfect sense. It makes sense to me. Delusional Zeos, it makes perfect fucking sense. David Bowie. So I've got this on the most... Actually, I'm going to set the volume, the gain down to 0. I got this on the least fucking with it. No tube, no bass, no 3D sound. Waiting for it to play. Should probably unpause it. That'll help. 12 o'clock volume. These headphones don't need help. These headphones don't need help. Not for me to enjoy them, not for them to be my taste. So I don't want any of that stuff on there. So I can get away with literally running these on the iFi Zen Go Blue. Not a Zen, it's a Go Blue. The iFi Go Blue DSD Pro Signature fucking X bass. Well, actually, no. Because I run them on the iFi Go Blue with no modifications. No X bass, no 3D, just blank, plain. These are amazing headphones in any source I plug them into. That's the lesson of this review. Because reviews are like, I'm talking about this unit, that's fine. But I'm giving lessons. Some headphones don't fucking need it. They don't need it. Some headphones are just great all the time. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You can listen to a VHS recording of MTV from 1991 on an old VCR. And it would sound amazing on this. Because that's what it fucking does. And other headphones that are a little bit more picky, you whip this out. This is the whipper. I'm going to unplug these now because they've proven their point. And I'll pick the last set that I have on. Oh, by the way, this is also from GroveMade. It's a little short, but that's leather. and cork and metal and wood, and it's a headphone stand. Here we'll put the Tim socks on there. I wish it was a little bit taller. The wires just hit the fucking floor. I guess if I adjusted it, it wouldn't do that. They need to make this like an inch taller, and then I'd be much more satisfied. Ooh. Yeah, there you go. Breathe, babies, breathe. Still, link to GroveMade in the description. Although they want us. I've also leather desk mats they were going to send me, but they're like, we're out of stock. I'm like, you fucks. Send me your leathers. Khajiit has wares. Send me them. Okay, so 8XX with the Dakoni pads. Look them up. UKCA? Is it UKCA? Is this a Canadian pair? Did they fucking send me a Canadian pair of 8XX? You sons of bitches. Okay. Off, solid state. Let's get off David Bowie. What do I want to add to this? What do I need to change? Where does my heart feel like I want more soundstage. Oh god, too much. All right, so one notch of soundstage, which is what that basically is. It's just a soundstage switch. I don't need more power. We're on low gain. It's like loud there. One notch of bass. Digging My Potato. What a good track. Not really a bassy track, so that's not doing anything. But tube, and then I'll go to tube plus, and we'll see how bad that ruins these. Oh, tube good. Tube does good thing. Oh, tube does good. What did Zeo say about the IFI Pro-iCan signature? Tube does good. Real fucking good. So let's take away the soundstage ad. Let's put it back. Give it a double. Too much. One notch. Let's go tube plus. Hold. Taking away the soundstage again. God damn, that's doing... You know what? I could see 2 plus being someone's favorite fucking setting, but only on the harshest. I don't bring out harsh headphones. I don't own harsh headphones. If a headphone hurts me, I tend to look at it and I hate you. I fucking hate you, sharp bitch. Get out. So, but on 2 plus, I can tell it's what it would fix. Let's change it up. Ennio Morricone. And this is with nothing else. Back to tube only. Yeah, no. See, I love the 8XX. I do. I don't care what anyone else says or how they measure. I don't give a fuck. I love them, and I specifically love them with these pads. Don't you judge them until you've changed the pads. And gotten a different wire, because any wire is better than the wire they come with. In fact, this is an APOS. I'm going to just pimp all the shit that I've got on this. So that's an APOS flow cable, and that's Dakoni fenestrated 800 pads. And on tube and one soundstage notch. Ideal. Let's get to a bassy track and I'll see if the bass boost. Jim Guthrie, the 86 OST. James Arthur, Jack Reacher. So smooth. Planeteus. Next track. Hold, please. Evil Dead 3. Perfect. Ooh, 2 notches of X bass, up to 20 hertz. Okay, so there you go. Yeah. It's a fix-it. It fixes things. It just takes things that you can run on solid state with no X space and no 3D on a normal gain, and it will be one of the best amplifiers you've ever heard. It just pretend nothing else exists, and it'll be amazing. But curiosity is going to get the better of you, like it did for me. Like I am a purist. I don't like to fucking fuck with things. I talk about X space and I love it, but I always want it to not be on, even though it's like it's a free country. Well, America's a free country. How are you guys doing? I know it's a free world. You can just flip it on and you can just enjoy the shit out of it. But I'm Zeos the motherfuck Pantera. I need to hear things without fuckery, because that's the rule. That's what people expect. They expect me to listen to fucking plain Jane vanilla. What are you eating at this place? Vanilla. Why? Because I have to tell everyone if it sounds like on vanilla. But really, if you own this, you don't have to listen to vanilla at all. You could every day sit down and have those settings cranked if you wanted to. And any headphone you got, just be like, I'm making it crazy. So yeah, the Signature gets my approval, because it's got all the knobs and switches except for the one knob and switch to make the fucking speakers go off. But you could just put like a flip. If you honestly were using a power amp, you would just have to flip the power amp off, but it's fucking annoying. Also, it outputs to the front and the back. So if you leave your headphones, your probably expensive headphones plugged into it, and then you have speakers on, you're never going to hear that your headphones are playing. I mean, you'll see that they're plugged in, hopefully, but unless you're using a remote from a distance, then you can't. I wish like I was a fish, that it could just not fuck up like that. I'm hitting next track, even though nothing's plugged into it anymore. It's fine. I'm fine. It's definitely not late at night. Links to this in the description. Links to the wallpaper in the description. Links to the Tim Sock, the $4,000 fucking dollar, which if you buy these headphones due to this review, I guess I'm the greatest salesman of all time. Empyrean Elite, which is a dumb name. We'll get to that when we get to the review of these. The L700 Stacks, the 8XX with all the mods, and I guess I got a link to GroveMade, because this is fucking, like, of all the audio things that I've gotten that aren't actually audio things, this is designed to be a monitor stand. But it was like, no. I know what I'm doing with this immediately when I get it. I asked for 2 of these. I only got 1. Because that's just like a perfect space. Put that under there. And then those fucking things took me forever to put you together. And then it's like it's not like wonky build. It's just like, I understand how they're doing it, but they have to like sit it on little balls. Like, what the fuck? Anyway, I'm done. Wallpaper, links, Patreon, and Subscribe Star. If you want to see these reviews early, because this is going to change your life if you can see reviews early, $5 a month. Also, for $5 a month, participate in the yard sales. I sell a bunch of shit that companies either send me, like this headphone stand may not stay here. And if you want to offer me $19.52, you can do that in a yard sale from the 1st to the 10th of every month, and I will ship international for half the cost of shipping. Then there's also the, what the fuck do I call it? Sound Demo Oasis, where all the sound demos that have been removed from YouTube, you can get to their audio, and you can get to the uncompressed, lossless audio of modern sound demos. Because I made that thing because YouTube is a pile of shit and lawyers suck. What's 1,000 lawyers at the bottom of the sea called? A good start? Justice. Justice for Harambe and my music. So yeah, if you want to get to Lost the Sound Demos, if you want to participate in yard sales, you want to see reviews early, $5 a month, Patreon or Subscribe Star, pick your poison. However, if you want to pay $10 a month and help me pay my mortgage, because house is expensive. Propane's expensive. If you want me to do that, you get into a private behind-the-scenes Telegram chat where I will actually answer your questions. Because if you message me on platforms, if you message me on Patreon, you message me on Reddit, you try to leave a comment, I probably won't get around to it. I can't focus my attention on so many places. But if you're a $10 patron, you got a link to a channel where I check on my phone 3 times a day, 10 times a day, 100. It's all a day, actually. Just go at Zeospantera. I got all this. I want to buy this. Which one? And you know what? I won't be the only person that answers you. the other 180 people that are in there will come and answer it too. And you could ignore their advice and just take mine, or you could actually start a conversation with actual crazy audiophiles who somehow like this channel. Probably because of the anime. Look at that giant darkness over there. Yeah, I'm good. You good? Oh, Hi-Fi Guides, and the Hi-Fi Guides fucking forum. I should have put it at the beginning of this video because I want to push the forums. The forums are the future. The forums are the future. I feel like that's a t-shirt because I can't trust YouTube. I can't trust Patreon. I can't trust the site. All I have that I'm paying for the domain is fucking Hi-Fi Guides. And if the world catches fire, that should still be up. So that's all you got to know. So yeah. I'll see you in 2 days. Peace out.